have got cut off from the enemy by Turks, and I'm hiding under a hedge with them all round, and daren't move a hair or it's all up with me. August 24th. I've just crawled out of my hiding place after lying there 2 days and nights, and have just found to my dismay that the regiment have retired back onto the beach, so I must drudge on a few more miles. I've brought a wounded comrade with me and left him in the hands of the RAMC after lying out 2 days and 2 nights on the battlefield. What a sight! Dead and wounded lying all over the place, and no help for them. I'm Chris Copson, curator of the Keep Military Museum in Dorchester. We are the museum of the Devons, the Dorsets, and a regiment called the Queen's Own Dorset Yeomanry. Now, as a lot of people will know, this year, 2015, is the centenary of Gallipoli, the Battle of Gallipoli, and that was when the Allies tried to take on Turkey. Now, Gallipoli, a lot of people have seen the film, and a lot of people view Gallipoli as an Anzac affair, an Australian and New Zealand forces affair. The Anzacs were there, but there are actually rather a lot more British troops and also French troops. And in terms of this museum, we have the 5th Battalion, the Dorset Regiment there, and we also have the Queen's Own Dorset Yeomanry. Now, one of the nice things about this job is people give you things. People make donations of wonderful things that have come out of their family. And probably one of the best donations we've had of recent months concerns Gallipoli, and it concerns this gentleman here. This is Corporal William Phillippe, 5th Dorsets. Now, the 5th Dorsets are our first service battalion. What does that mean? Well, a battalion, that's about 800, 900 men, depending on their strength. And the service battalions, they were the ones who actually formed at the start of World War I. So when the big patriotic appeal goes out, Kitchener asks for 100,000 men, doesn't get that, he gets well over 1 million. And the 5th Dorsets are part of that. Now these guys, recruiting opens on the 12th of August, 6 days after the declaration of war, and the battalion fills up very, very rapidly indeed. These guys were expected to go to France or to Belgium to fight the German army. Instead, they go somewhere they've almost certainly never heard of, Gallipoli, this peninsula on the Mediterranean side of Turkey. And Phillippe is one of those. Now, Corporal Phillippe, as he later became, did rather well because we were donating his medals as well. And his medal group consists of the Distinguished Conduct Medal, which he won in 1918 in practically the last couple of weeks of the war, fighting on the Sambre. And then he's got his 1914-15 star British War Medal and Victory Medal, popularly known as Pipsqueak and Wilfred. So that's his medal group, and that's brilliant. A Distinguished Conduct Medal took some early. But the really exciting thing, to my way of thinking, is that he kept a diary. Now his diary, here it is, he kept throughout the entirety of the Gallipoli campaign. Now that was strictly illegal. Nobody was supposed to keep a diary. It was a security risk. But Private Phillippe did. And it details the whole of his story from before they landed on Gallipoli, when they went round to the Greek, they landed on the Greek island of Lemnos, and then his landing at Suvla Bay, along with the rest of the 5th Dorsets, on the 7th of August 1915, right the way through to when they were finally evacuated in early December. And it's quite a harrowing tale, it really is. I mean, in his words, just talking about the landing was, frankly, it was something of a mess. They were taken off by destroyer into Suvla Bay, and they were supposed to be picked up by lighters, sort of flat-bottomed craft, to take them into Suvla, to take them to land. They're trying to land 2 brigades at the same time, and of course it all degenerates into chaos. The 2 brigades get mixed up, they are taking casualties when they're still on the boats, and then when they finally get ashore, there is great confusion. Fortunately, the 5th Dorset's commanding officer, who's a remarkable man, Colonel Hannay, got a grip of his battalion, form them up in companies, and march them off the beach, almost parade ground style through the sand dunes. Superb piece of soldiering. Now the Dorsets were landed in the wrong place. They were supposed to assault somewhere called Hill 10. They landed in the wrong place, and they had to march along the beach, and then by a charge through the sand dunes, they took their objective, Hill 10. That's the military history version. This is what Private Philippe's got to say about it. We eventually got landed after being adrift an hour or more, and were shelled right and left. Men were mown down by hundreds. A more wicked sight it's impossible to imagine. And then a little bit later on, we're still going strong. We've thrown the Turks off the hill, but at what cost? Nearly all our officers killed, and we were lost on the hill all night, and nothing to eat or drink. The whole of the regiment is nearly done up. And that's just getting ashore. That's just the start, because the Dorsets are in action for a solid month, pretty well without a break. The big one occurred on the 21st of August, and that's a major assault. The thing with Gallipoli, the problem is that we landed, we got ashore after a fashion, but we're stuck on the Suvla plain, which is a flat area, but it's fringed by steep hills. Of course, the Turkish defenders are up on those hills, and we're trying to break through. And the Turks are well dug in. They have rifles, machine guns, artillery, and that is a very, very difficult thing to do, just to break out of the beachhead. So the 21st of August, the attack was made and the trenches taken. But I don't know where to look for my comrades. They're nearly all killed by shell. Poor Frank was hit just as we were leaving the trenches. And then a little bit later on, the attack succeeded. The Dorsets went forward. They took the Turkish frontline trench. The problem was there was another really strong trench only about 40 yards behind that, and that stopped them. They'd taken an enormous number of casualties. So they took the first line trench, they went firm on that objective, but they're then really going nowhere because the attacks on either side failed, they're out on a limb, they're isolated, and of course the Turkish counterattacks start. The following day, in his diary, Philippe writes, August 23rd, early morning. We're still in the trenches, but we're being infiltrated and have been ordered to retire. Then a little bit later on, had got cut off from the company by Turks, and I'm hiding under a hedge with them all around. I daren't move a hair, or it's all up with me. Utterly remarkable. He's lying under a hedge, Turks with fixed bayonets combing the ground around him, and he's lying there writing in his diary. This man had guts, he really did. The attack on Scimitar Hill and the Dorsets at Hettonshire on the 21st of August is really the last major offensive action. From then on, it becomes stalemate. But we're still not giving up. We are there. It's taken a lot of effort to get there, and we're going to stick it out. But of course, then you move into autumn, into winter, and the weather starts to worsen. And the troops were subjected to appalling storms, rainstorms that flooded the trenches, blizzards as we're heading into October, November. The conditions were absolutely foul, and a lot of the men were getting really run down. They were suffering mass outbreaks of dysentery. The diet has something to do with that. The only food really was hard biscuit and bully beef, what we call corned beef. That's what they got to eat. On the odd occasion, when they actually got something better, it's remarkable. On the 26th of September, Philippe writes in his diary, bread today, the first since Lemnos. It feels like a birthday. And then a little bit later on, he notes, well, the bread went down really well, with the aid of the shrapnel flying around. That's the sort of life they were leading. Philippe was ill. He suffered from dysentery, he suffered from boils that would not recede, and he also suffered massively from toothache. And this man actually had 8 teeth out on the bay of Suvla. Now, I've had a tooth out, and it knocked me back for a couple of days. This guy's having 3 teeth out, 2 teeth out, 3 teeth out, and he's still carrying on soldiering. And the conditions are utterly foul, they really are. November 21st, gone to hospital for teeth trouble. November 22nd, comfortable night in hospital, 3 stumps drawn this morning. November the 26th, terrible storm, everybody driven out dugouts and wet through, had 2 more teeth out. November 27th, had a lively night walking about in the rain, had 3 more teeth out this morning. Utterly remarkable bloke. Fortunately for him, by November the 27th, his ordeal was just about over. A couple of days later, he was so ill, he was so sick, that he was evacuated, and the rest of the Dorsets were evacuated a few days after that. The Gallipoli campaign had been a complete fiasco. We landed, we took an enormous number of casualties, we didn't get anywhere. The Turkish opposition were, I don't know what we expected, I don't know whether we expected them to run away or what, but the Turks were very, very brave, determined soldiers. They sold their lives very dearly, and they were led by a remarkable man, the chap who became known as Ataturk, father of the Turks, who was then a colonel in the Turkish army. And if you're wondering what happened to the hero of this tale, William Phillippe, promoted to Lance Corporal, then Corporal, he recovered from his ordeal on Gallipoli, he convalesced and then joined the Dorset's 1st Battalion in France, the Western Front, and that's where he spent the rest of the war. In the last couple of weeks of the war, he was awarded the Distinguished Conduct Medal for gallantry in the fighting on the River Sambre in 1918. On demob, he went home, back to Tooting, back to London. He was a London and a Dorset man, and resumed his civilian occupation like his father before him. He was described as a journeyman painter and decorator. He didn't unfortunately make old bones. He died in 1932 at the age of just 45 years.